All right, we'll try this one more time. Actually, twice. I've seemed to have failed making this video a couple times, but let's go. Let's talk about curve atlases and what do you want to do when you want to blend stuff together and use curves to animate the time in the material itself. My favorite method is to use curve atlases. Now you could do a bunch of stuff where you can generate the curves via math, and the Material Lab actually has done this. Easing curves. There's a bunch of easing curves that have been made in here, and we'll apply. Great stuff. We can kind of take a look at gradient and what all of these do. So if we were to plot on graph function, here's like what the curve will look like versus just the regular thing. So this curve, that curve, each one of these has, right, like a curve, and all this is some math in here that's doing it. So you can do all these math functions. But I am too lazy to even do this. I want or maybe I want more customization is probably the real answer. So what I do instead is I apply a curve atlas parameter in here. But let's actually take a look at this with time, and we'll just kind of see how time handles this. We can kind of see what some of these curves look like with time. And it's gonna like slowly ease in, and if we take a look at what that curve is, right, that kind of makes sense why this is very slowly going to the top. But anyway, we're here to take a look at curves. So a standard animation, I'm blending here some SDFs. Here's a hexagon and a box, and they're blending together. And this is a very basic animation back and forth, so this is a very linear animation. It doesn't have any sort of fancy stuff to it, no curves, no nothing. This is kind of the math to get you there to have it go all the way up and back and forth. Or you could use different math there, that's fine. So that's basically it. But what I want to do is I want to make my own curve instead of using any of these. You could use any of these here. You could put the time in, and we could do this, and we could see what it looks like. Actually, let's take a look at what. So this is a slow ease in, and we could run that through here. I didn't even need to saturate, but this is gonna be slowly. Boop. But yeah, that's like a way to put a curve on here. Or actually, I guess it makes more sense to put it there, so you can see it like in and out to the same curve. But this is a bunch of mathematical curves. So what if you want to use your own or make your own? That's what we're going with here. So the first thing that I want to do is create a curve atlas. So great way to do this is a miscellaneous, a curve atlas. We're going to call this demo. And in here, this basically just is an empty texture that we can add a bunch of curves to. But we need to first make a curve, something that we do want to animate back and forth. And to do that, we're going to right-click under miscellaneous. There's a curve feature here. Curve linear color. We select it. We say curve demo example. And at first, we just want to use, we only need one color, so this actually does like RGBA, and this can actually make you gradient colors as well. But we only need one channel because we're only animating one value. That's a float value blending between time, right? So we move this to the middle just to kind of show you if you middle click, it actually creates a keyframe. And this is going to give us the exact same animation. Animate up to 1 and animate down. And it's going to be no easing, no nothing. And we just need to add this curve to our atlas parameter. So we're going to find our new curve. what did I call this? Demo example. There we go. And you can see here it made a single pixel line, and it's actually going baking this math into just a texture, and it's going to read that texture. So in the material, we need to grab that texture. So you can look at curve atlas parameter. Here it is. We can plop in our brand new atlas, that's our demo, and then we say what curve we want to look at. We want to look at the curve demo 1. And in here, we don't need this stuff. This stuff makes it repeat going back, but we could just use the regular frac now. And if we plot this on the graph, on the red channel, right, because that's the only channel that we modified with our curve, we could do other channels, but I'm only working on the red. We'll see kind of how handy it is. So it'll go down and up, and it's exactly this, except it's a little bit faster because this between 0 and 1, this animates this this up and down feature. So if we plug that in, voila, we're having exactly what we had before, but now we're using a texture to animate this. And the texture, if we were to multiply by 1 and take a look at what this looks like, this gradient, oh, I should unplug time for a hot minute. And I need to plug in a gradient or give it a value. Linear gradient. So you can see here, we kind of flipped, if you think about the math, right? We flipped our curve here. We're going from 0 to 1 back to 0. So we've actually made ourselves a, like a mirrored gradient. That's essentially what this is doing. So, stop previewing that. We put back time in. Oh yeah, it's very funny. You could see what it looks like with the blend. Bizarre. And that's blending these two together. Maybe I should do a circle. You think a circle would look cooler? It's so hard to tell. I don't know which is gonna showcase the example better. I like circle. Oh, circle makes a much better effect. Circle's cooler, way cooler. All right, we're sticking with circle now. Yeah, so that's blending these shapes together at this rate. Now, we want it to be non-linear, so how do we do that? I like to select all the keyframes, and I like to put cubic interpolation on it first, so we could start with that. We'll save this, and then you'll see it's actually going to curve these together. So it's no longer a linear animation. It's actually doing a little basic interpolation on it. Cubic interpolation, I guess. If we hover over this, yeah. Now I like to mess with my tangents, so that's why I like to select that button. And let's mess with some stuff here. Like let's make it super wide. And then we could see what that looks like. And that makes a nice, very big animation, and then the slowness is in the transitions. But I feel like the transition's the cool part. So that's probably not what we want. We want the reverse. We want these to be showing the really cool slow motion forward and back. And maybe we end it fast, so it'll ease in super slow and out quite fast. And so it's gonna ease in ease in really fast. I guess out very slow. Whoa. So again, you can kind of mess with the animations just by modifying these curves. They could be stepped if you want to step it. That's this one, constant. But yeah, so now not only could I put one animation on one channel, but what if I want to put a different animation on a different channel? This animation I want to be maybe something a little different. We'll add our things back, do this, but in this one I want to pivot it and put it like that. And maybe this one I want to make an S curve, so this S is in and then it goes out. And what we can do is we can literally just point this to the green channel instead. And now I have a brand new animation, a new animation style, a new thing. Quite fancy, quite nice. Curves. Always, always handy. Now, where do I use these? And I'll say I use these extensively. Again, you can do all this sort of stuff with the Material Lab, with the easing functions, and these are all done with math, and you can like figure out the math, how to program this. That's too much effort for me. I just want to draw a curve, and then it bakes it into this nice little texture, and then I can use that forevermore. I use this a lot, and I'll show you where I've done this. My spider failed, only did like 10 days of Inktober. This hourglass I animate with curves inside of a material, right? There's no animations being done here on Sequencer. So inside of the material itself, I've got a curve here. It looks like curve 1 and a curve 2. So these are actually pointing to the same curve, it looks like. That's a waste. Maybe I had them. But let's see, one's the green channel, one's the red channel. Let's take a look at what this curve is. So the green channel is this kind of big, starts at 1, ends at 1 with 0 in the middle. And we can see that that is animating this rotation, this slow rotation. So this is flipping the hourglass back and forth, I believe. And then we've got a second animation on the red channel, and that's over here. And we can take a look at what this is doing. And I think this is flipping the inside sand, if I recall. And that's on the red channel of this curve. So let's take a look at the red channel. And yeah, it's this interesting maintaining a really big, deep S curve. And that kind of does this. Oh yeah, so I think that one of them animates the sand down. And one of them rotates the hourglass. If I recall, do I remember which one does which? No. Okay, yeah, you could see one's animating down. Flip. And then, gosh, I don't remember how I did this. This is a fascinating struggle. One of these makes something. This makes a triangle. Ah, this was drawing my shape and rotating it. This was probably animating the sand down, if I had to guess. And this is rotating it. Interesting. Anyway, that is one use case. Now let's go into another one, which really showcases, I think, a lot of the stuff as the other Inktober example. This drip. All of these animations were done with curve atlases. And here's my curve. And if we open up the material, we can take a look at what these curves are doing. We've got curve sampled a couple times over here because I'm doing different math on it. But here's kind of the main one. This is animating this like drip down. This animates this part. And I am using, it looks like the red channel to animate the drip going down. So that is animating. So this animates the drip. So it starts a little hesitant, goes really fast, and then kind of slows down at the bottom. Looks like that's what the animation down looks like. We could preview this, and if you get a sense of what's happening here, it's going to look kind of weird though. So yeah, it's just animating the axis down. The green channel looks like it's scaling the drip. So the drip is starting, if I'm not mistaken, the drip is starting one size and stretching out to be more in the middle and kind of going back. And that is on the green channel. So we can take a look at what the green channel curve is doing. Yeah, so it's starting it, stretching it to be the scale of the Y to be 1.8 and then going back. So that's what this drip is doing. So we're stretching out the Y. If we didn't have that, it would be Nothing. Not great. Um, and yeah, without this, I believe it doesn't do anything. It doesn't actually animate down. So you can see what the scale is doing. So this animates it down at a rate, and then the blue channel is blending. So this is blending between this SDF that's up top here and this SDF here to kind of make it look like it's dripping down. And the blue channel is this, which is mainly blending it together and then slowly not blending it at the end, which is, I think, making this big drippy gooiness. So it's blended and then stops blending. Yeah, and then I've got a couple curves over here as well. You can see I go with curves all the time. I like curve atlases. I use them all the time to animate stuff and get that unique feel inside of materials. Hopefully this was helpful, and yeah, little curve atlas knowledge passing to you.